series. I trust that you all had a great weekend. Just a reminder, please ensure that your videos are left disengaged, mics remain muted. Also, for any questions you may have, please type them into the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. Right now, I'm currently getting a lot of feedback, so I'll kindly ask persons whose mics are on, can you please turn them off at this time before the facilitator comes to the platform? Thank you. Today, Mr. Harris from exporTT's office, and from time to time, you may hear sirens. I apologize in advance for this disturbance. I will now pass the mic to Mr. Hackshaw.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to part two or day two of our webinar on generating online content. And this is an interesting experiment we have tried to see if we can, have a one flowing session, but in two parts, so we don't exhaust people, but we still keep the flow going. I'm just wondering if we can have colleagues mute their mics, because I am hearing quite a bit of feedback in the background. So it'll be very helpful if we have colleagues mute our mics. So that, yes, I think that person is muted and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yes, so welcome to day two. And for those who who are here on Friday, today should be a very exciting day because we are going to be looking at the content that people have submitted, and thank you so much for submitting your content. But we're also going to be continuing from where we left off in our session on Friday and adding additional tips and tricks for you to continue with this online content project and differentiating yourself from others within the industry who are trying to go online. So I hope everyone is having a great day and staying safe. And let's just discuss what we're going to be doing today. So today, we'll be covering a recap of our takeaways from day one, which is on Friday, webinar one. We're looking at a bit of content marketing. What exactly we are basically what we're doing today is content marketing. So a note on what effective content marketing would look like. Then we're going to go into the general summary of the feedback that we would have collated based on your submissions. Now, just as a note, personalized feedback is not being provided, and this is just to avoid the situation where we have individualized issues coming up. It can be very general, and as I indicate later in the session, if you want to have individualized or personalized sessions, that is something you could perhaps approach exporTT for in the future as we proceed with the project on Digital Skills Recovery Toolkit. We then looked at the most impactful channels for blogging and blogging. And about this issue of going viral, what does that mean? We'll give you a few pieces of information about how you could perhaps look at going viral. What are your next steps? And instead of doing a poll or pollings today, we're going to have what I would hope to be a discussion. Ideally, if you can speak into the microphones and talk, and if not, we can use it via the chat. So we'll try and interact with you at that point, discussing the next steps and what your thoughts are going forward. So I hope that's okay with everyone. We're going to try and complete this by 11:30 a.m. today. So let's take a look at our recap of key takeaways from Friday or webinar one. Many of you, all of you, should have received the slide deck that was generated and shared with you. I'm just going to take a few slides of that just to recap exactly what we were discussing on Friday. So as you remember, we first looked at who your market segments were and who your audience was or would like it to be. And just to remind everyone, this is a part of the foundations of marketing. So not about digital marketing or content marketing per se, but marketing as a whole. And just to remind everyone, we're not looking specifically at your demographics, your age, gender, etc., but also going deeper into your customer segments, either potential or existing, likes, dislikes, hobbies, why would they want to engage with you, follow you, or buy from you. And key about this whole concept of market segmentation based around more than demographics is really what would make your customers want to buy from you. Why would they want to follow and engage with you and then buy from you? And this is the whole point of trying to really differentiate yourself from everyone else who is selling online or promoting their business online. And very importantly, how do you identify with them and do they identify with you? And I'm hopeful that the content that you're generating will allow you to be an individual who can identify with your customers and vice versa, that they can identify with you. And we discussed using market research to get to this point of understanding who your customer was or is. We looked at your personal brand, personal branding. If you recall, we said your personal brand is something that will differentiate you from the crowd, really keep you, set you apart from everyone else. And it's really about you and what you do and how you do it and why you do it. And I talked about authenticity, being real and not being fake or what I call it, posing. You need to be real in what you're doing. So this is just a reiteration of personal branding. And I want to just highlight the last point about demonstrating leadership, because as someone who is really trying to get their personal brand out there, you do have to demonstrate leadership and separate yourself from everyone else in some way. And we're hoping that this series of workshops will allow you to understand that what you put into your content can not just show what you are or your business, but also differentiate you and make you really stand out as a leader in your industry or your sector or your space. Reiterating that you have to look exactly what your objectives are in generating your content. What you're trying to show. And we talked about putting forward ideas and opinions, research outputs, telling a story, sharing your experiences, you can do training or teaching, or discuss the impact of your product or service. So those are the key objectives of generating this type of content in blogging and vlogging in particular. Why should you blog? We reiterated that it allows your current and prospective customers to see a very much more personal side of your business. It attaches you to your business, you as an individual, you as your owner or founder of that business, or the CEO if you carrying that title. And it's just more than about what your business is, about what you are about. And attaching you to that business gives customers and prospective customers a different approach and a different look into what your business is about. And almost equally importantly, if not more than equally as important, if that's a way to say it, really trying to build trust and reputation in your particular industry and building communities is really the thrust of this whole content marketing, driving, vlogging, and blogging together. Establishing trust between you and your existing and prospective customers and building that reputation is extremely, I can't stress this enough, extremely important. You'd want them to come back to you regularly. I want to see more of what this person has written or view what they have, what they're talking about, or hear what they're talking about. Why would they want to come back to? Because they trust what you're saying. They believe in what you're saying. You have a good reputation. And again, what you're generating in your content should continue to build that trust. And reiterating again the point of the personal side, you want to give your customers significantly more opportunities to engage outside the business, creating this level of personal connection with you as the owner or founder. Why am I buying from you? Because I trust Jane Doe, John Smith. I understand what they're about and what they are representing, what they mean, and what they're doing, and I really would like to buy from them their product or service because I really trust what they're doing. I feel a personal connection with them. And reiterating one more time, just to really drive this home, what should you be doing in a blog? Should we be engaging, be creative, be informative, be very authentic and real, clearly demonstrate your expertise, clearly demonstrate this, and where possible, provide a level of thought leadership to your prospective customers and existing customers. Blogs are, as I said, the other side of the coin. It's really for someone who may not be as inclined to read as another person. And for you as a business owner, it's also your ability to express your voice, quite literally through video. In some cases, audio, because you don't have to show your physical presence all the time. So you can just have voiceovers or talk over something. But in many cases, we would like to see who you are. So expressing that opinion, that voice through video is very important. And as I hinted just a few minutes ago, many customers or your potential customers really find the videos more engaging than written word. And we're seeing that, with the rise of TikTok and certainly with YouTube, even on Instagram stories and on Facebook Watch, etc. The whole idea of video is becoming significantly more engaging than written word. And with the increase in bandwidth that's available to us as a community, as a world, we're finding video beginning to dominate the online content space quite a lot more than the written word. And associating your image and personal brand with your business increases the possibilities and likelihood of engagement. I mean, what more can I say about this except it's quite obvious. Associating your physical, the person who's annotating, this will be challenging for me because I have to close off the notification. So I also appreciate if we could resist annotating at this particular point in time because it would actually blocks my screen when I'm presenting. So maybe you could annotate and highlight when the slide deck is sent to you. So I really appreciate that. Thanks so much. Right, so associating your image and personal brand with your business increases the possibilities and likelihood of engagement. And again, we're just reiterating this whole point about this individual. It's a psychology we're talking about here of the individual psyche connecting with you. So a customer connecting with you directly as a business owner, how they associate your image and your personal brand with your business. And remember we looked at last week at individuals like Elon Musk and Larry Singh and Oprah Winfrey, Marshall Montano, yes, etc. And people associate, you can think about the names and the brand and you can see them in your mind. And that's association, that psychological association. It's quite important. And again, if you see that image coming up in a blog, in a photo, blog, or a vlog video, immediate association with trust and reputation begin to happen from a psychological standpoint. And you may find them engaging much faster with you because they can identify more quickly by associating your image and personal brand with the business. And the exact same points that were raised in the blog, as I said last time, are the same for the vlog. It's the same exact rationale of what to do in the vlog. Be engaging, be creative, be informative, be authentic or real, demonstrate your expertise, provide thought leadership. And Just to wrap up our recap, how to write an engaging blog. As we went through last time, we talked about, of course, the proper use of English, but if you're using dialect, let it be deliberate and obvious that you're utilizing dialect. Please use compelling headlines or titles. And we reiterated not necessarily what's called clickbait, but certainly compelling headlines, so that customers are drawn in to read what you're posting. If we have time today, I will actually demonstrate to you a blog and a vlog that a local person has done, and we can discuss it along these lines. Short, impactful opinion pieces tend to work very well, but also longer, thoughtful, well-researched pieces, depending on the topic, can also work. So there's no real limit to what you can do. I mean, we're not saying to write a thesis, but certainly if you would like to write a longer piece than a 1 page or 100 words, feel free once the piece is well researched and it's well thought out, and it does convey. It's not a rant or vent. It's more of a research piece that is conveying information that's very important, or that you think is important for your followers or your customers to be aware of. We also talked about creative formatting. I'm happy to report that in the submissions we did see some of this being utilized. So to utilize subheadings, use bullet points, to use images within the blog itself, and to use infographics, statistics, and graphs where you can. Specialty pieces, something really to piece of information that is along the lines of research or stats and graphs tend to be very useful in conveying that piece more effectively, because their eyes are drawn to things like figures and pie charts and graphs more than the word itself. We also talked about having a clear call to action, utilizing frictionless words, and by that we meant the words would imply, once again, giving that customer benefit or value from reading your content, in this case, which is a blog. So instead of just saying buy or download, utilize words like get started or learn more. Those are what we call frictionless words, and they are more inviting and encouraging for your prospective customers to engage further with you. And finally, but also very importantly, to consider search engine rankings. So when you're publishing your content, your blogs, they're generally published online, obviously. You'd like to have your blogs ranked very highly. So if your company is called ABC Limited, if someone's looking for ABC Limited and typing, let's say, you are a specialist in agribusiness, you type in agribusiness and ABC Limited, or farming, or something along those lines, it comes up very highly in the results, because within your blog you're discussing farming and agribusiness. So ensure that your blogs contain things that relate to what you're talking about in the first place, because that ranks you highly. And if it relates to your business or sector that you're in, also ensure that those keywords are included in your blog. And reiterating what an engaging vlog looks like, very similar. Again, it's the other side of the coin. We want you to keep it very simple. We don't want necessarily for blogs to go on and on about opinions or topics, because as we talk about here, despite the debate on vlog length, it is generally more impactful to have shorter vlogs. There is research that says that the human attention span for something like videos is less than 5 minutes, unless it's interesting. And again, it's a matter of opinion if your vlog is interesting. And we'll of course want you to have your vlogs being very interesting, but in the event that the perception is that they're not, a long blog is not going to make it any better. So that's one point of view. On the other hand, if your blogs are very interesting or very topical, if you're talking, as I said in this case, about COVID-19, about opening up the economy, or about some very important issue that perhaps your business can solve, some problem, a longer vlog can be important in those situations, especially if it's engaging and keeps interest. And the reason for longer vlogs in many cases are for monetization on YouTube. As I said before, that's a very different discussion for a very different webinar time. Similar for blogs, using creative formatting, utilizing things like B-roll, which is the equivalent of utilizing images to break up your text. B-roll, as I indicated before, would have been pickup shots of you at your business or your customers in a store, if you have a brick and mortar store, shots outside and people walking in the street, cars driving, whatever. Those are interesting things that could break up the monotony of having just you on camera or single shot of you doing something. Having B-roll is very important to sort of, it's a creative way of keeping the video interesting. And similarly, continue utilizing images like infographics, stats, and graphs. You can animate them if possible, if that's something that you can do. If not, the static images are fine. And continue to insert those into your video so that you have one more time breaking up of the single shots or the monotony of having you on camera talking alone. And reiterating one more time the clear call to action. Without having this call to action, you've missed the opportunity to have your customer do something. I may not have expressed this fully in the last session. The call to action can be something that you give away. It can be something along the lines of giving a discount on your product or service, giving away a free book, research paper that you've done if that's the area of business that you're in. It could be giving away a sample of your product or whatever that you are trying to catch your prospective buyer by. The call to action of getting something like that can, of course, build your pipeline, build your leads, and feel that, and you're almost rewarding your customers for reading your blogs or watching your blogs. All right, so I think that's our review, and I just wanted to stop there just for one moment. And you can post in the chat if you have any comments on this recap, any thoughts that you've had, especially those who have took the time to submit content. Do you have any comments or thoughts on this? If you'd like, maybe you can open up your mic and say a few words about it if you think that you would like to say a few words at this point in time. So feel free at this point to either put your comments in the chat or to open your mic and say a few things. I'm going to check to see if anyone has their hand up. Get that screen up. Now,
So far, Tracy, I have nothing in the chat box.
I'm also not seeing any hands up. So for the time being, we're going to assume that this is good, and we're not at this point having any comments or feedback as yet on the recap of we've done so far. So now let's move on to what I'm calling. It's what is known as content marketing. And what we've done last week, submitting your blogs and vlogs, is content marketing. This is what we're doing today. And to a large extent, it's something called digital content marketing. So what is content marketing? According to what's this Google search, it's a type of marketing or form of marketing that is focused on creating, publishing, and distributing content for a targeted audience online. It's as simple as that. It includes things like videos, blogs, social media posts. But if you look at that left-hand expression, it does not explicitly promote a brand, but is intended to stimulate interest in the brand's products or services. I want you to let us settle it for a second. Because what we're doing, this entire session about focusing on content marketing, blogging and vlogging, and not focusing on product or service is directly in line with this whole discipline of content marketing. People are teaching this in schools. It's part of marketing curricula. What you're doing now is, I think, one of the first steps that you can take to move beyond traditional marketing into this content marketing. So just reiterating, it involves the creation and sharing of online material such as videos, blogs, and social media posts, but it does not explicitly promote a brand. The intention is to stimulate interest in its products or services, meaning the brand or the company's product or service. Make sure we understand that. Now, this gentleman, Joe Paluzzi, is considered the godfather of content marketing. He's actually the founder of something called the Content Marketing Institute. Many of you, some of you may be aware of this institute that has been very prolific in courses related to content marketing, and there are many books produced on this topic by Mr. Paluzzi and others. And I want to just read this quote here for you from Mr. Paluzzi. Firstly, our customers don't care about our products and services. They care about themselves. And secondly, if you go into most enterprises, 95% of the content generated is about features and benefits of the products and services. That content works when people know exactly what they are looking to buy and who you are. I want to make sure we understand this, but that's a very small percentage of the audience. So the remainder of your audience, the entire gamut of your prospective customers, what do you deliver to them? Simply put, if you don't deliver interesting, engaging, and valuable information, you will be ignored. All of those channels you have today to talk to customers, email, social media, podcasts, webinars, vlogs, you name it. What a waste it would be if we only talked about ourselves and didn't try to build a relationship with our customers. Sadly, this is what most companies do. And let that again sink in for a second. Remember that you as a business, sitting in your shoes, you are seeing your product or service as being the most important thing. And that your product or service is in fact the best thing out there. And that's fine. And you should think that. It's also very important to realize that if you are selling a particular product or services, you're not the only one doing it. And customers are trying to figure out why I should buy a product or service from you if it looks the same to me. How do you differentiate yourself from that other product or service that's competing with you? To a very large extent, it's not about the actual product or service, but the differentiator from a customer standpoint is about you. Why I should buy from you as your business or you as the individual. While you may think as a business that your product or service is better than the other and your competitor, and you're willing to show that, remember that customers are always more willing to trust you and what you are selling because they trust you and they've engaged with you as opposed to that product or service. That's something that you have in your bag to sell. So based upon this, here are some tips. Approach all of your marketing, not just digital marketing, digital content marketing, including blogs and vlogs, from your customers' viewpoints, not yours. Remember we talked earlier about the personas issue and getting into what a persona is, the likes and dislikes, their hobbies, etc. That's what this is about. You have to position your content as if you were in the customer's shoes, wearing their clothes, not yours. Once you sit into that psyche and that standpoint, you'll get to start to understand things like, what do your customers care about? What about their lives, their issues and their problems and concerns? They're looking to find solutions. They're looking to obtain value. They don't care about necessarily your product or service. People don't get up in the morning and say, I'm going to buy, unless it's I guess a very luxury brand. I'm going to buy, that shoe. I'm going to buy that necklace. I would like to look pretty, or I'd like to get well. I'd like to find something to make me feel better about myself. I'd like to solve my son or daughter's problem. That's what is on their mind. And then looking for your product or service, they're looking for someone to tell them why I should engage with you, why I should see you as a partner in moving forward, and therefore why I should eventually buy this product or service from you, not the other way around. So this bullet point here, remembering to do your market research, is extremely important. Before you move forward and before you take this to the next step, remember your market research is the fundamental piece of the puzzle that might be missing from your business right now. Talked about doing things like exit surveys. If you have a brick and mortar store, talked about doing things like having exit surveys if you have an online store. We talked about doing online focus groups, doing a Zoom or Google Meet session with your customers or your prospective customers and asking questions about what are their likes and dislikes, what do they like to solve, what are their problems and their concerns. So what should you be doing? You should be building trust. And this is saying it one more time. We should also be customer-centric. It's the same statement I made in the last slide about seeing things from the standpoint of your customer. Everything that you do in your business should be customer-centric. It should not be business-centric. It should not be you-centric. It should be customer-centric. In doing that, you may want to talk about your product or service or talk about what you are doing, but the standpoint in which you talk about it has to come from the standpoint of the customer, prospective customer, not your standpoint and not your business's standpoint. That's a mistake for me, especially in differentiating themselves from others. This is how you create engagement. Demonstrate how your customer can benefit from engaging with you. And this is really important. You have to accept this. This does not necessarily equate to buying a product or service from you. The engagement comes first. If you have an engaged customer, someone who's following you, who's reading your posts, watching your vlogs, commenting, sharing, that's a potential customer. But they don't have to buy the product or service from you to be engaged with you. How can you make his or her life better? How can you solve his or her problems? So we talked about demonstrating this expertise and leadership. So if we talk about health and wellness, you don't have to sell your product to solve their problem. We talk about health and wellness in general. If you're not a yoga teacher and you want to talk about the benefits of yoga, that's fine. If you're selling, for example, vitamins, using this as an example. There's also the opportunity to talk about health and wellness generally, getting good sleep, benefits of that, blogging on that, benefits of meditation, or whatever the area that you're focused on will lend itself to. You don't have to talk about vitamins. That will come if that's the product or service you're selling. Generally talk about what is this health or wellness paradigm. How can you make yourself as the customer feel better? Once they gain that trust with you, once they engage with you, the buying will come. So having said that, so drink some water. Let's stop there to see if there's any more questions or comments. I saw one person commented that they had the video locked until they actually did it. I understand what you mean by that, so that's good. So I know that it's challenging until you actually get into the process of doing the thing. So I appreciate that comment in terms of what you are moving towards. Anything further from comments? Okay. Does anybody want to add anything in the chat? Anything further about what we just talked about the difference between selling yourself, selling your business, selling your product or service, talking about that, or to talk about yourself in the customer's shoes from the customer standpoint, customer centric. Thank you for the positive comments coming in the chat. Thank you so much. Yes, it is very good, insightful marketing. It is extremely, I think that is what people miss, especially in a country like Trinidad and Tobago, where it's very much about retail and buying and selling a lot. Sometimes we miss the opportunity to really see that we ourselves as individuals have the power to gain customers' trust and consumers' trust. And this not only happens within the country, but you can have that engagement internationally. And I'll show you, once there's time in the session, how just a local person has gained a huge following internationally on LinkedIn just by talking about things that help other people. All right, so let's get into general feedback. And I want to reiterate, I'm not going to be giving individualized feedback here. I'm not going to name companies, I'm not going to put people on spot. I'm going to be sharing general feedback, and I was pointing out one or two. I think things I saw that both are positive and some that we could probably improve upon. So first of all, just thank you very much I really appreciate content that you sent in before the deadline. I really, we got quite a few blogs and, not that many vlogs, but I appreciate that the time was short. We did get, enough to provide some commentary on, but I did get quite a few blogs, and I read all of them. I read all of the content submissions that were provided. So that's very important. Thank you so much for sending them in. And really, just to share with you that for those who are able to submit, give yourself a round of applause. You have taken a major step forward in really differentiating yourself from everyone else and putting yourself in a competitive advantage to compete in this global economy. Just taking that step forward to do it is the step you need to do it. And as simple as it sounds, you don't have to be perfect at it. You don't have to be, it can be rough, but just getting that done, getting that first step done is really important. So for those who did not submit, I want to encourage you to still follow the exercise and continue, submitting, posting your blogs and blogs, because I really think that just getting that first one out, don't let the webinar today be the end of this and you go back to do what you're doing. You need to move forward. And for those who have submitted already, thank you, and let's submit more. Those who haven't, continue the work that you started and to submit and to just get it done. So take a bow for those who have submitted. Thank you so much. So as I said, your journey has begun. So the hard part is done for those submitted new, especially those who submitted newly created content. Your journey has begun. I really want to encourage everyone to create a new content on a regular basis. It's not just about regenerating stuff you have in your maybe in your brochures or wherever it is. It's about creating brand new content, getting that that spark going. What can I do that is different and fresh? I generally saw good use of the English language. I thank you all for that. It's very important. And importantly, I did see some nice use of storytelling. And there were a couple of cases where I saw stories being told, which I really appreciate. People took that up and understood what I meant by that, where you didn't just produce static type of content, but you said, I'm going to show people a journey from A to B. And here's what I'm doing, whether it be a journey of me and my business, or a journey of my experience in doing something, or a journey related to my product. I want to encourage everyone to continue along those lines. Those tend to be very compelling pieces of content when you talk about telling a story. If you go and look at just Google digital storytelling or something along those lines, you'll get millions and millions and millions of results about. This is a whole new area of focus for the digital world. I think I'm familiar. I can't remember her name, but there was a news anchor on, I believe it's either CNT3, who left eventually. I can't remember her name right now, but she's actually working at the IDB as a storyteller, quite literally. So that's her job title. And that's what they're doing in progressive organizations. So instead of just being communicating or marketing, it's about storytelling. I want to commend one blog in particular. I'm not highlighting any one name by but the person who submitted this particular blog used a catchy headline, used bullets, subheadings, and images in providing tips for their customers. And I really want to congratulate that individual for doing that. And just to reiterate for everyone who's doing blogs, this is something that I think will really improve your blogging and your content. Just to use these tips about, the headline, the bullets, the images, just really get that moving, pushing it forward. Another good blog I read linked to a global day, a day of celebration of some particular thing. And they related to what they were doing and the world, how they're celebrating this particular day. And I wasn't aware of the day myself, and I really thought that was very helpful to learn. And I thought that individual who produced that blog created it just created a difference for me reading it. I learned something, and I engaged with her, the person, I should say, the person. I engaged with the individual by just reading that particular blog. Now, small steps lead to big things. And in the vlogging category, I understand the difficulties many would have had, especially the time that was provided to do this. But remember, it's small steps. So we're not saying that you get things perfect, but it's really good to see that people who submitted at least have made a very good effort to get this thing down, recorded, produced, in some cases well edited. I was really surprised at some of the editing that was done. It was really, some good quality editing. I'm assuming they did it themselves. If it did, congratulations to you. For those who submitted the vlogs or videos, the quality itself was pretty good. You can go on YouTube at a certain level. I don't go into the nitty-gritty of whether it should be HD content, etc. That's a whole different class discussion. But to a large extent, you want to get your videos in a quality that is at least 720p, which is considered to be high definition by YouTube and other platforms. Now, one blog in particular, stood out due to its clear effort made in telling a story, and making a genuine effort to engage and make a connection with viewers. And I really want to congratulate that individual for that attempt in the vlog. You really did make an effort to engage and make a connection. You spoke to us, spoke to me as a prospective customer, and I really felt your passion coming out when you were talking about that story you were telling to us. In general, the blogs and vlogs that focus on delivering valuable and original content work well. Okay. Valuable content has value to the customer. So let's go back to our discussion on the customer. What is the value to the customer, not the value to you as a business, value to the customer? The blogs and vlogs that focused on delivering valuable content in the customer's perspective and that had original content worked well. On the other hand, or maybe let's say as an append to this, other blogs and vlogs that worked well, those that were strategically delivering value, not by uh, creating original content, but by creatively using a product or service in the content. What do I mean by that? It wasn't a show and tell about their product or service, but it utilized their product or service creatively in the discussion about the topic they were discussing. And that's really creative for those people who did that, and I think they got it. So you don't have to always talk only about things that are not your product or service. I'm not saying to leave it out completely. So there are ways to get your product or service into the content by utilizing it in the blog or vlog. If you're doing something, you utilize your product. Let's say, so an example would be if you're cooking and you're making, let's say, your product was a sauce of some sort. You're cooking, you're showing people how to make a meal, or to make a particular dish, type of process in the cooking, and then you can infuse your product into that discussion. I'm utilizing this particular sauce, which is branded. It's your brand. Nothing is wrong with that. But you're not going to spend the entire blog talking about that. That's how great that sauce is. But you're going to be using it within the thing that's valuable to the customer. And in terms of the ones that worked well in this scenario, the content was still about them, what they were doing, what they were trying to do. Sorry. For the customer, it wasn't about their product or service. That was not the bottom line. That was not the end game. At least it didn't appear to be. And that was great. That was what the end game was. If the end game was your product or service, you've done well, because I didn't believe it was. I believe you're trying to serve me a valuable piece of content. I consumed that content, and I felt good about it. So those blogs and vlogs worked well. And so for the next attempt, I would encourage for both blogging and vlogging you to be less business-centric, and again, that word more customer-centric. Avoid making your content about your product and service, and avoid what's called in the industry brochure. So please don't just push a brochure out and put it online. There are many of those already. Everybody does that. That's because websites are basically brochure. That's not what content marketing is. It's actually the difference between what people are doing already and what you would like to do to differentiate yourself. So by simply submitting a brochure or animating a brochure, making a video of your brochure, or whatever that you think might be the benefit to customers. Bear in mind that has been done by everyone else already, and you're not truly differentiating yourself from everyone else. Yes, you may have created a piece of content, but it hasn't differentiated yourself from someone who's done the very same thing. It hasn't made you, as the owner or founder, seem different or seem like a leader or demonstrate your expertise if you just submit what we call brochure. We need to read and hear and see more of you and your stories and experiences. So those who were sharing their stories and experiences, really, I think, hit the nail on the head. They really got it. They got what we're trying to say last week, and I really believe that they nailed the exercise. So for those who didn't do that, I want to encourage you for your next attempt to really get this more about you and your stories and experiences. I want to really ensure that don't be shy. It's not something to be shy about. This is not time to be shy, actually. It's a time to be aggressive and disruptive in a way. Now is the opportunity that you have to go online and show yourself to be different. Why am I different? Why am I somebody you can trust? Why is my brand, my personal brand, something that you can believe in? Why would you want to buy from me? Why should you engage with me? Why should you follow me? So differentiate yourself by showing knowledge or thought leadership, new areas of expertise. And I just want to just say this one more time. Everybody, every business owner, everybody on this webinar has expertise. You may not even realize that you have it. You may be able to write well. You may be able to do videos, as an example. You can cook. You can do craft. You can do great research. You can do, your yoga teacher of mathematics. I don't know. Everybody has a particular skill. What you need to do is understand what your expertise areas are, how you can translate that to good content, how you can step in the shoes of your customers and translate that ability to be a thought leader or a knowledge leader in that area of expertise that you have and solve a problem of a customer. How can you demonstrate that expertise to your customer? So give that some very, very real and some thoughts as to how you believe you can push this forward. All right. So now just about 10 to noon. I'm going to stop here one more time because I think that was very, it was a dense piece of discussion from my standpoint. I want to pause here to get some feedback from you to see if there's anything that you want to add. I noticed in the comments, I saw some people saying they understand now what the issue was, trying to talk about. Some saying they'll share their blog or blog after class. Thank you. You certainly do that. Ross said they're still working on it. Great. Continue working on your blog or blog. Some saying that they have some issues with the software. Okay, I understand. Yeah, so please feel free to continue developing and sending it. And let me just pause for a minute here and see if there are any questions or comments that people may have. Someone said they made 9 videos in 1 hour. Wow, that's quite impressive. Anyone would like to say anything? Anybody would like to maybe speak into the mic and say something about this? So certainly post in the chat. Don't be shy. Continue posting.
Everyone, Mali here.
Yeah, Mali, go ahead.
CEO for Mega Interior and Construction Limited.
Yeah, Mali, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say thank you. I forget your name. I should have remember your name before.
Tracy, it's right there on the slide. Right. Tracy.
I want to say thank you, Tracy. You know the way how you teach this class. It made me learn this thing so fast. I'm feeling like a master already. I ain't gonna lie. And yeah, the knowledge that you pass on here, it definitely helping my company already. People actually engaging, actually get 500 likes. In like,
wow,
yeah, 500 likes in like I would say 3 days because I started from it's Friday we did the course. That's Friday we started the webinar.
Yep.
Right, so I started over the weekend, and from the moment I created my first content, I shared it and got a lot of engagement. And Monday I shared a blog, my first blog post on how lead could mitigate COVID-19 and climate change adaptation, stuff like that. And got a lot of engagement as well too. And it's all because of the knowledge was passed on and how to structure it and the tools, everything was given to me to use my creativity and innovation. And I think everybody else could do the same because, as you say, everybody has something unique in them to share for the business they're working on.
Yeah, appreciate that. So, Mark, maybe you could put your into the chat, put your your page, social media page, or links in the chat so people can visit it and engage with you as well. And I like the fact that you talk about the engagement with your, as important because that's important. And again, I know we like to count likes and so on, but really is about the engaging. So getting comments and shares and fully, so every time someone, let me give you a tip. Every time someone comments on your post, I know know this may sound ridiculous. The real good people, the real good engagers, comment in return the comment. Obviously, that can become very challenging as you get it very popular or you have a lot of comments. But people do respond to when you respond. And think about that for a second. If someone says something to you, whatever it is, great post, and you don't respond saying even thank you. That it's if you do that in real life, that's like it seems rude, right? So it's always good coming from the standpoint of engaging, continuing that engagement. People get it when you engage with them. And I want to encourage everyone who has social media and posting comments and posting, content now going forward, their blogs and blogs, to also engage. So when they engage with you, you engage with them. Keep the two-way traffic going. It's not only about one-way traffic. I like what you've posted. Thank you for posting it. Say thank you. Or, what would you like to see next? Or anything along those lines. Because that engagement builds that trust and that connection between you and your customers. And I really think that if you're differentiating yourself from, so you are, in this case, in construction or interior design company or something like that, why would someone want to buy from you your service as opposed to another company who may not be doing this? And they're doing it, I think, really, really because they like what you've posted and they like the fact you've engaged with them. And you'd be surprised if business will increase by doing things like that, and not just locally. I want to make point we're all an exporTT session. We talk about gaining new markets, and people always expect you to be engaging with them. They expect customer service, using Facebook Messenger. They expect you to be responding, and there's a whole host of things that go into this thing. Sorry, that's why people hire social media managers and all sorts of things after. But at the end of the day, it's still about you and your business and your brand, ensuring that you are getting the content out and you keep engaging. Thank you so much for those positive comments. So I'm seeing some comments on the chat still. Thank you again for posting the link, Wally. Sorry. Excellent. Good comments. Yes, keep it coming in the chat. Keep it going. Feel free to chat and keep the chats going. It's not bothering me one anyway. If you continue chatting there and sharing ideas there, because I'm seeing it coming through, and I'll continue posting. All right, so let's get into the most impactful channels for blogging and vlogging. Now we talked about marketing research, so here's some data. I'm going to throw some data at you. Now just remember, you're getting the slide deck afterwards, so don't feel stressed about not seeing, not taking the notes or getting the documents. You're getting this afterwards. But here's some data about why these channels are the most impactful channels for blogging and vlogging. Right, so we went through this in the previous session, the daily time spent with media. And as we saw last week, we saw that, and this is January 2020, that most people are spending a lot of time on the internet, 6 hours and 43 minutes per day on average, ages 16 and 64. And on social media, just about a third of that time is spent on social media, so 2 hours and 24 minutes. So these are sizable chunks of time people are spending doing things online, let's say the music streaming, etc. This is globally. Now we're shifting very rapidly, I think, here from the local markets to the global markets. I'm going to be showing you in this section the global figures, and they're very up to date based on the research that's been done thus far. As you can see, let's look at April. In social media use around the world, we can see that about, I wouldn't say 4 billion, but certainly they are just under 4 billion active social media users. And as we looked at the last time, they were just under 5 billion internet users. So huge market, massive, monster. It's a monstrous market. 49% of social media, of the global population use social media. And the annual growth is alarming. Well, it's not alarming because that's good in a way. It's almost 10% growth. 304 million new users came on in the last year. What I think is extremely important, and again, we went through this last time, is the mobile side of it. And this helps you with your content thinking. The total number of social media users accessing content via mobile devices, mobile phones, is 3.76 billion. So of the 3.81 billion active social media users, the figure is right there, 99% of all social media users are accessing content via mobile. Someone's asked me privately where the data coming from. So on the slide, there's the sources. The sources are just on the little gray text below. I think we'll see it, but you're seeing the various sources there. They're coming from platforms, from third-party analysts, and from Hootsuite, who collects the data, and aggregates it. And different slides will have different sources of data, so keep that in mind. Mobile internet use, and we just talked about mobile. So there are about 4.2 billion mobile internet users in the world today, and therefore 92% of the users percentage are mobile. So internet users, I mean, it's not a majority. This is it's almost everyone are mobile internet users. So you're seeing very, very rapidly, especially in the developing world, Asia and Africa, etc., but also in the US and Canada, people are utilizing the internet almost entirely on mobile, as well as using our PCs and laptops, yes, but it's greatly moving towards phones. They're always on and always everywhere. And 3.3 hours and 24 minutes spent on mobile devices use the internet. So think about this massive audience that you have as an exporter. Push content out to get in front of, 4.2 billion, yes, people, correct, on mobile devices who are using it 3 hours and 24 minutes every day. This is a monster amount of market share that you can get into. And just think about that for a second, because when you adjust your content formats and your content approaches, you want to look at mobile as being what we call a mobile first strategy. So while you also don't want to eliminate the web, meaning desktop, you also want to adjust for mobile first strategy. So that means people reading content that is not very long, it's easy to consume, which is why you hear TikTok being very popular, because it's 1 minute or less in terms of video content. But there are also things like Instagram stories, etc., which are quite interesting approaches to content use, Snapchat, etc. Mobile first is very important for you to understand. Generating content that can be viewed easily on mobile devices means that you have to be very careful about how you produce that content, how it reads on a phone, how it looks, in terms of video production, etc. So that, my advice to you is to just test it. Your friends, your family, put it on a phone and see how it looks. Is it too much? Is it too long? Does it take long to download or to see? Those are the kind of things you want to test. Now, COVID-19, so share how recent this is, shows significant changes in the media consumption. So 35% what significantly have more news coverage. 29% watching more films and shows and streaming services. 24% are watching more significantly, spending more time using messenger services like WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger, etc. And 23% spending more time utilizing social media. You also have 19% spending more time on broadcast television. And again, the results are there, and you can see it's not just the US, it talks about Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, etc. It's not just US only figures. Increased social media use 58% more time on social media being spent by this particular age group, 16 to 24-year-olds, which is a very lucrative audience in terms of certain types of content. Then you move into the disposable income categories where you have 25 to 34-year-olds spending 50% more time in social media, 35 to 44-year-olds spending 42% more time, and 34% of 45 to 55-year-olds spending 34% more time. 55 to 64-year-olds spending 32% more time. So on average, just about 30 to 40% more time being spent on social media by everyone, which means that now is the time to get your stuff out there. That's what I'm trying to indicate by this. Now is the time to get your content out. It is, people are doing it already. You don't do it now, you're going to miss this wave of increased usage. People are home. They're not as active as they once were in terms of the work environment. In some cases, they're spending a lot more time on social media. This is the time to get your content out and differentiate yourself, not just in trying to be or make us points about the world we're talking about here as an exporter. And this slide is very important that many people consider enough, expect to consider themselves or would like to continue utilizing more time on these platforms after the crisis or the pandemic ends. So 10% will spend more time on mobile apps, 50% will spend more time on social media, etc. So you're not going to see you're not seeing a drop off after you continue seeing a particular spike in utilization. So get your content ready, get it out there. Global e-commerce activity. I'm not sure if people understand how many people actually buy things online internationally. So, in fact, there's Trinidad data on this from last year, which is very similar, believe it or not. We tested this in an actual class that we did on an exporTT a couple of times. And the figures that come up just from that sample of people who were there. But 81% of people spent time searching online for a product or service. 90% visited a retail site or store. 66% use a shopping app. But the more critical point of view, 74% bought a product online last year. 74% of persons bought a product online last year. Sorry, last month. Last month. Typo, last month. Sorry, in the last month. And 51% used a product online via mobile device last month. These are the figures we're talking. This is a market we're talking about here. Billions of people are buying products and services online. This is where you need to head to. And this is where you need to differentiate yourself from others in doing this. This market is incredibly large. So we talked about what are the major channels to use. So here's a quick snapshot of one view of the channel. So of course, Facebook is the most popular social media platform, but that also means it's very large. It's 2.5 billion people, active users on Facebook. There are also 2 billion users on YouTube. There are also 2 billion users on WhatsApp, 1.3 billion on Facebook Messenger, etc. I see a question coming in. Do we have any local integrated e-commerce or shipping platforms? Well, that's a whole, that logistics discussion, it's Lisa, is something that has been talked about for some time. I don't want to say the answer is yes. However, there is a session that was held last year with Ministry of Trade, where DHL and First Atlantic Commerce talked about having a combined platform to offer logistical services. Now that means you have to ship from Trinidad and Tobago if you're shipping from here utilizing DHL, which is not cheap. But again, that's something I'm not promoting that service, but there is something that's happening on that side. From I think if you look at if you just do a search in Google for National E-commerce Forum, I think it's called, which is something I helped work on with Ministry of Trade. You'll see the discussion there. I think there's a link to our website as well. All right, so we're talking about the platforms. So let's deep dive a bit quickly into who are these people. So Facebook has 2.5 billion active users or thereabouts. And of that, 2.02 billion are actively, can be reached by advertisements. That means that they're really people who are using the platform and can be reached by marketing strategies, which means that is your effective 2 billion people on Facebook. It's huge, monster, and it's the largest simple platform in the world to get your content out on, but it's also very large. So it has, it's a double-edged sword in that regard. In terms of male, female, which I find surprising, 56 to 44% breakdown of the ad audience, which I thought to be quite interesting. And this is from Facebook tools. That's a research by third-party sources. YouTube, probably next biggest platform in the world for this kind of content. 2 billion numbers of, 2 billion users log into YouTube each month. And again, 55% to 45% breakout. It's very similar to Facebook. And the number of hours watched on YouTube every day globally, 1 billion hours. Can you imagine that? 1 billion hours watched every day on YouTube. That means of the 2 billion people who are on YouTube, and this is just a very easy stat to come up. 2 billion people watch 30 minutes of content every day, at least on YouTube. Shocking figures. And for you as a potential blogger, vlogger, this is a platform I would want to encourage you to get on as quickly as possible. Not because it has as many people as that, because which is great. It's still free. As of today's date, it's easy to use. And once you upload your content to YouTube, then you can reshare that content across all of the platforms. So, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on the other platform. So it's very important. So you basically get an audience on YouTube, plus you can reshare that content across other platforms. So there's no need to just generate content for yourself and then for each platform. I would encourage you to use YouTube if you really want to make life easy and get things done as quickly as possible. Question coming in: what's the best option to receive payments online? That's a subject of a whole different potential workshop that I think exporTT is trying to organize. And that is a question that I will be very challenged to answer at this point in time. What's the best option to receive payments online? So unfortunately, I'm not going to answer that question, but there is a potentially a workshop that can happen where we can discuss the pros and cons of each of the options. Instagram. Thank you for the question, by the way. Ade, this case. 970 million people. And the breakdown on Instagram is a little different. 51% female, 49% male. Another massive audience. And Instagram is a very different type of platform from Facebook, although it's owned by Facebook. As you know, it's very photo or image driven, but there are also videos you can post on, up to 2-minute videos. So it's also very useful to get your videos onto Instagram. And there's also Instagram TV, which can get longer content there as well. So again, I would want to encourage you to create content once and post on multiple platforms many times, because you get the same content out there at multiple formats. And LinkedIn, which I want to really stress on, because for best bang for buck in terms of getting people who have disposable income, who are, Facebook, as you know, is a very large aggregation of many types of people, very diverse, as you would ever use. LinkedIn tends to have people who are, for the most part, employed professionals. And if you look at the commentary and the content on LinkedIn, you see it tends to be a very different tenor. form than the content and the comments on Facebook and YouTube and other channels. As I said, you can reshare a YouTube video on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn also has a blogging platform and a curation platform. And if we have the end of the time, we'll show how that works for a particular blogger, Trinidad and Tobago. And again, the male-female divide is still around. It's 57% male to 40% female. And just going back to Trinidad and Tobago and reiterating Trinidad and Tobago's some data on Trinidad and Tobago. We talked about last time, our penetration is about 1.08 million of the 1.4 population, which is 77%. That includes all types of internet usage, home, mobile, cafes, free Wi-Fi, work, etc. And of the internet users, 860,000 are active social media users. And in our online markets for Trinidad and Tobago, of the 860,000 social media users, 99%, which is the exact same, it's identical figure that is used for the global perspective, are accessing social media via mobile devices. So again, mobile first, can't stress that enough. Now, any questions on this particular stat? So this is the idea about which platforms to utilize. If I were to give you a strong recommendation, I would lean towards LinkedIn for business-focused content, and I would lean towards the other platforms for lighter content, meaning that if it's less business-driven, it's less. I won't say heavy. It's not a word I want to use. Not heavy, but it's maybe lighter, maybe more comedic, or it's content that is not specifically focused on a business-focused audience, and it's hard to say it better than that. But Facebook and YouTube's and Instagrams tend to have a different audience perspective. Yes, we have business users there, but you may find the content you put there maybe not well received on LinkedIn. So it's more the other way around, I would suggest. Be careful about the audiences and take a look at the content on the platforms to understand the differences. And about going viral. People always want to go viral. What is viral? What does this mean, going viral? Well, viral marketing is a style promotion that relies on an audience to generate the message of the product or service. So it's not you generating it, it's the audience generating it. And marketing is considered viral when it reaches the point where it's being shared by the public at large, rather than just the target audience, the initial target audience. And if you are truly viral, your message will be in nearly everyone's social media feed. I think one recent example, Shalamar's asking me privately for the data presented, what region was the data collected from, and I had indicated before, it's global data, it's not US data, this is all global, except for Trinidad and Tobago's data, which is Trinidad and Tobago. All the other data is global data. And when you get the slide deck, you can see the references, the sources in gray text beneath each slide. So it's global, not US at all, it's global data. Now, saying that the type of viral content you may be familiar with recently, for those who may, the coffin dancers. That is something that came out, I think, in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe just a bit later than that. And it suddenly, across the COVID-19 period, it became extremely viral. And there was a lot of use of this coffin dances with a particular type of music behind it. So much so that they became very popular themselves, as it became known as the coffin dancers. And I'm sure many of you have seen, many tweets or Instagram posts or even local memes on coffin dancers based on someone saying something or someone breaking up with their girlfriend or whatever the issue is. The coffin dancer is attached to it, coffin dancers, and that is a very popular, very viral piece of content. how do you go viral? Well, there's no real blueprint, I would say. What I did here is there's a very good article that I read, I think some time ago, that I linked for you here. And I adapted this article for use today. So the link is provided within the slide deck, but I just want to share with you my version of the tips I provided. So again, these things are the same things we've said before. One, understand your audience. That's the first thing. Producing content that could go viral, you first have to understand who your audience is. Connect and engage with your audience on an emotional level. Create the content that is useful, engaging, and shareable. Make sure you understand the shareable part of it. I think we talked about with Marley earlier. If you want to create content that is people would want to share, let my colleagues see this. This is so good. I want to share this with someone else and others. Right? I mean, we're not about fake news or those kinds of things. We're about real, useful content. And quite a lot of times this has powerful images or videos contained within the content. In fact, there's some data that shows that the powerful image and data is what is actually shared more. It's more likely to be shared than that just has only text. There's something there's a particular stats graphic in there, or video that has a particular, it's funny or it's serious in a way. So, with COVID-19, there was some data that showed people burying the loved ones on New York, an island in New York somewhere. That was very powerful images that people were sharing around as well. You sharing as a call to action. So when you're sharing the content, it's a call to action in itself. So when you are publishing your blog or your vlog, there's no harm in inviting colleagues to share. I think you're familiar with somebody called DJ Anna. DJ Anna does a Friday night show, just separate from the radio show. She does at 93.5 FM. And she always says, share this, please share this. How many shares can I get? While it maybe you may not understand what she's doing, she's actually networking that content out there to a global audience. So by asking people to share it to their networks, it creates what's called a network effect. So one person sharing it to 2 people, to share it to 4 people, to share it to, you know how it goes. So when you say share this content, by definition, you create a network effect. And by definition, it goes out to a much larger audience. And you saw the previous slide I showed, which had let's go back quickly to it, which had that image of the network effect being demonstrated to you there. Post during or at the right time in the right place. I know this may sound like an obvious thing, but it really means that if you find that there are events that people are currently talking about online, if you find that the events that people are really discussing, talk about things like Carnival and Trinidad or Soca Monarch or whatever, or I like cricket in particular, so the CPLT20, there are a lot of people online, especially people from India, other countries that follow cricket, watching CPLT20. That's a good time to post content that's sort of related to the issue. Talking about sports, cricket, West Indies, the Caribbean, whatever, Caribbean food, and hashtag it with the CPLT20. That'll be a very good opportunity for you to share that content, that particular point in time, on social media, on social networks, and have that become viral, have it shared around. And very importantly, to optimize your networks within your own network. Look carefully around you. You may find people who are following you or you have connections with. They may have quite a large network, thousands of followers, depending on who the person is. And ensure that if you can ask them to share your content, that content will be shared to their thousands of followers by definition. So don't be shy. Ask your network to share your content. Give them a private message. Hi, you know them. I would like you to share this piece of valuable information, and in most cases they would agree to do that for you, unless it's not something that they would like to share. But in most cases, if the content is valuable and useful, get it back to the first point we would like to share. So as we get down to the end of this, what are your next steps in the way forward? So I would like to say here that I want to encourage everyone to review all of the materials provided. So the materials that we got, on the slide deck that we got on Friday, the one you're going to get today, review it. Take some time to review it one more time. Look at it carefully. You click on the links that are provided within. See what just get comfortable with the content and the material. Conduct your marketing research. We talked about it. Conduct your surveys. Do the preparatory work. Check to see. I saw some comments coming in about, I think they're right about not doing that beforehand. You need to do this beforehand. Do your exit surveys. Do your surveys. Right now, go ahead and create a very short 3 or 4 question survey about getting, understanding what your customers are, they're doing, what they like, what their likes and dislikes are, what they like about you, your product or service. And in a sort of a bigger view of that, perhaps get a few of them together on a call, Google Meet or Zoom or whatever you would like to use. And these tools are currently free. And get them together and ask these questions in a face-to-face way and deep dive with them. Ask more questions. People might be willing to do that for you. And obviously, you a lot of secondary data. So the first 2 are based on you generate primary data. Secondary data is pretty much like what I shared with you just now about the global state of the economy, digital economy, etc. And when you get this data, that's what you then use to create buyer or customer personas. That's a session that we could have separately if you want, or you can simply go online and check how to create these personas. And for those who haven't done this as yet, you need to do this. This is where the real work happens in marketing. If you haven't done this as yet, you need to get this done. You haven't done 100% of the work you need to do. You've heard of customer journeys. Document your customer's journey. Each of the journeys of your customers through your business process. And that will come with the buyer customer personas. Get in the habit of curating and sharing useful content. We talked about it last time. You can start by simply curating and sharing content regularly. You don't have to write new content every single day. Something is interesting, not fake news, not conspiracy theories, useful content. Curate and share it on your networks. People will find that helpful and interesting. And to a large extent, you could use that to begin blogging in terms of writing a few lines on top of it. Continue to practice and refine your digital skills. And we talked about this, writing for online audiences, writing for the audience, long, short blogs, etc. And continue creating stock images and capturing what we call B-roll footage. Commit to produce at least 1 blog or vlog per month. I want everybody to take a moment and just, to yourself and to everyone else here, commit to producing at least 1 of these per month. As data show, people are online now more than ever. They're buying online more than ever. If you don't do things like this, you're going to miss that boat. Now is the time. If there's no better time than now to get this going. Spend the extra time that you may have available to you. For those who may have a little more time on their hands, and for those who are less free, find the time to get this done. Finally, I would advise that you follow up with exporTT for additional support and possible one-on-one clinic sessions, trading capacity building going forward. I think that's something that I'm sure exporTT will be willing to entertain from you and to drive going home. This whole idea of additional support, one-on-one sessions, and so on. So now it's 11:30 on the nose. I hit it. And I did want, however, to have a discussion and show a blog and vlog from someone called Bridget Hyacinth. I just want to stop here and ask one if there are any questions. comments or thoughts in addition to what we have in the comments. Thank you for the comments that are coming in. I see a lot of positive comments in terms of getting this going. I really appreciate the positive comments. Maybe I could ask Tanika, is there time for us to just look through a blog, a sample blog and blog, and probably have a discussion about this for those who are willing to continue that discussion?
Hi, Tracy. Hi, everyone. That will be strictly based on if everyone is in agreement and if they have the time as well. So exporTT doesn't mind. We have the platform until 12, but it's up to the participants.
So I have hit the 11:30 on the dot. For those who would like to continue, I will. For those who are asking how much time it needs, it shouldn't take more than 10 minutes maybe to go through this. Depending on how animated the discussion goes. We could probably do the blog first. Seeing a lot of positives, great. So I will continue, I will do it. So who's Bridget Hyacinth? Bridget Hyacinth I'll just talk about it. So Bridget Hyacinth is a very local, it's actually Aras to roll the ball, wow. Okay. Well, I'll talk it through. So Bridget Hyacinth is a local Trinidad blogger who has almost 3 million followers on LinkedIn. She is the most followed LinkedIn personality in this part of the world, and she is the most followed woman on LinkedIn in the world, actually. So it's quite impressive. What has she done? Holy crap, this is so challenging for me with this stuff. Trying to do this, while I'm talking. A second, I get this done here. You see how funny the internet can be, right? Get it done right way up. One more. Right. Thank you. 44.7 seconds. Hopefully it'll bring it up now, right? So perfect. Wow. So Bridget Hyacinth is she's from Trinidad, as I said. She's a best-selling author. As I said, she has been ranked very highly around the world on a whole series of websites. Most connected woman in Latin America and Caribbean. Second most connected woman, correct, on LinkedIn. The second most endorsed woman on LinkedIn. Person on LinkedIn. A person, not just woman. Person on LinkedIn. Very impressive. So what is Bridget talking about in this blog? Let's take a look. So her headline, her actual first headline is an image. If I do a job in 30 minutes, it's because I spent 10 years learning how to do that in 30 minutes. You owe me for the years, not the minutes. I think that's a quote by Davy Greenberg, and the title is "You Get the Talent You Paid For." So as you go through this, just showing it to you here, you see she has just showing engagements. She has 32,000 likes, 1,110 comments. And just to show you, you can read it yourself. I'll read it out. The blog, very simple. Then she uses some bold text to kind of separate some ideas in the blog. She has an image. This image says, when your client asks if you can do cheaper, what it looks like, which is kind of a funny little image. Most people don't, and she talks about it. She does a little pull quote in it. And that's it. End of blog. And at the end, she says, check out my latest best-selling book. So on and so forth. That's a book. And then to your continued success. Cheers. So that's a blog on LinkedIn. And as I said, she gets 1,110 comments. It was published, I believe, a few weeks ago. It was published on May 12th. So let's take a look at, I just showed it to you there. I can put the link in the chat. those who want to read it quickly. So there's a link for those who may want to read it offline. You'll get it, of course, in the slide deck. So the questions for discussion are: what is Bridget discussing? Who is she talking to? What has she done well or not so well? Would you read more of her blogs? Why? And would you consider her services or buy her books? So let's see if we could get some feedback in the chat. You know, it might be easier to do it in the chat on this. So what is Bridget discussing on this blog? Who is she talking to? What has she done well or not so well? Would you read more of her blogs and why? And would you consider using her services or buying her books? So let me see if there's anyone who would like to respond. Just on the chat is fine. You don't have to open up your mic if you don't want to. Let's see it on the chat. Does anyone want to jump in and you know, what is she discussing? Value. She's got a value for service. Excellent. All right. If anyone else wants to weigh in and say anything on this? Who is she talking to? She's talking about her business. Who is she talking to here? Right, another comment. She's talking to business owners. Excellent. Talking to managers and CEOs. Excellent. Yes, yes. Talking about employee relations and company culture. Excellent. Good points. So the observation there is that she's talking to an interesting audience, right? And about something that they find interesting, as you can see just from the engagement she has on her blog or vlog, on her blog, this blog in this case. So what has she done well? Someone actually knows Bridget and says her content makes you take a step back and think. And many people don't believe she's on Trinidad and Tobago, but she is on Trinidad and Tobago and she lives there. And by being so popular on LinkedIn, it's quite impressive for a local person to be so popular on such a global platform. What has she done well? Illustration with cheap service. Someone likes that. Yes, I think that's fantastic. She gave a very good image. She's grabbed your interest. Excellent. Excellent. Good point. Everybody's, yes, I think everybody's getting it. Does anybody think that she missed the boat on any aspect? Did she communicate how to value service? Perfect. Has she missed the boat on anything? Do you think she has anything negative? Is there any critique about what she's done? And would you read more of her blogs and why? Would you read more of her blogs? Why would you do so? I think someone in the comments said that she's made a very interesting point that having read her blogs before, her content really makes you take a step back and think, aha. I mean, I can't say it better than myself. She's not complicated. She's not real. She's not about overthinking things. She's about getting the point across. Right, it's good. Her values placed from the beginning. So you get from the very outset, you get from a first paragraph, from a headline, first paragraph, what she's talking about. Now, would you consider buying her services, using her services, or buying her books? Anyone? She engaged a reader, exactly. Anyone want to venture that she would you consider using her services or buying her books? Yes, so you're getting quite a few yeses. Someone actually said they've bought her books. It's fantastic. Someone said they'll think about it, but at least this person has moved you from a point A to thinking about it, which is all you need in a sort of a moving this forward. All right, so I think that was a useful exercise. The other one is a video, but I don't think we have the time for that. So I'll just show it that she hasn't done many vlogs. And what I'd ask you to do maybe in the, as you go home and take a look at this when you get the deck, ask yourself these questions. We don't have the time, I think, to go through this here. But look at a vlog. The same questions. Ask yourself those, so you can answer those questions. Has she done the vlog as well as the blog? And if so, why? And if not, why? And how would you do something in a vlog? You notice that she doesn't do, in fact, she is not doing a lot of vlogs at all on her LinkedIn channel. So I would appreciate someone who understands that they only, their real forte is writing, maybe not being on video. She did attempt to do it, and she did get some traction, but did she do it well? I think that's important to understand. So I'll leave this for you as a takeaway. When you get the slide deck, look at this vlog and understand whether or not she has met the same standard you would say in a vlog. This is a vlog. All right, so any further questions or any further commentary? I have my contact information there, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Someone, yes, exactly. Someone says blogging, but not everyone, but is good at blogging. Excellent. Thank you for that comment. Any questions, any further feedback, anything you would like to add? I'd like to thank you so much for all your comments, interactivity, your engagement throughout. If anyone wants to say anything now, feel free, and I'll kind of hand it over back to Tanika if there are any questions that she may want to facilitate or anything she'd like to add. We wrap this up. Yes, there's a question.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Tanika. I just wanted to say thank you and to Tracy. And basically, to what I wanted to say that I have shared one of my blog that I did. It was rather rough and it needed a little, but due to that, I was able to get some sales people to call me while this meeting was going. I have to say thank you. Although I needed to do some, I have to change it and tweak in between. It took me a while to get, well, not me, my daughter, to get it done.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that. Yes, excellent. That's an excellent case study there, Tanika.
Yes, it is indeed. And I believe that is Dillian.
Yes, it is.
Hi. Okay, so we'll chat offline as well, but congratulations. And that's a nice testimonial there as well.
Perfect. I'm so happy to hear that. Really, I'm happy. There's a question coming in about how much man-hours should be dedicated to effective. Wow, that's a very hard question. I would say that just to understand the marketing fundamentals in the first place, you need to take some time to do your research, get your research done. Once you do that, which could take some time. I mean, I wouldn't lie to you, that may take some of your a couple hours a day to get done if you were to analyze it from that standpoint. But after you get that done and you get good at the data, then you really should not be spending ideally more than an hour or two per day. I would suggest in getting your content ready and shared and posted. And as you get even more proficient at it, should 1 hour per day. As you really get good at this. Pinterest, no, Pinterest is not a good place to do blogs. Pinterest is a very image-centric channel. So if you have, I mean, even if you put an image with a blog in it, content like that, it doesn't really get a lot of pickup. You can do infographics, I would suggest. Infographics, maybe quotations about, testimonial to your product or something like that. But I wouldn't suggest blogging on Pinterest. LinkedIn, Medium, we talked about that last week, the platforms. and utilizing the sharing ability of Facebook and Instagram to get content. Tumblr has the reputation of Tumblr has sort of shifted, back and forth over the last few years. So it wouldn't be number one on my list of blog. I'll be honest with you. I would suggest that you post your content there as well. But I would, if I were to pick a blog for a business, I would start with LinkedIn. I would start there, or utilizing one of the on the standalone blogging sites like Blogger or Medium, or even the websites like Wix or WordPress, etc. Tumblr has gotten some negative feedback for its content and its audience over a period of time, and I wouldn't make that your primary blogging platform. That's just my 2 cents. All right, Tanika, I think that's quite a couple of questions. Is there anything else coming in? Or any follow-up, Tanika, commentary you want to make?
Yes, I would just like to take this time to thank everyone for participating in this webinar series. Shortly, you will receive a link to a survey. We're asking that you please give us your feedback so that we can improve our service to you. Also, the slide deck for this session will be shared momentarily. So thank you again, everyone, and do enjoy the rest of your day.
That's all. Stay safe the rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you blogging and vlogging for next. Now's the time, huh? Don't forget, now's the time. Now's the time to start doing it. Just get going. Bye all. Have a good day.